Now, on the surface, looking at some of these properties, these homes here in Redlands, California look pretty enticing. But there are some neighborhoods that you should probably actually avoid if you're looking at buying a home here in Redlands, right? What's wrong with that one? What's wrong with this one right here? And that one looks really nice. So what's the deal? Well, you should probably be fair warned for different reasons, whether it's a particular neighborhood, a street, or kind of just the geographic location within the city of Redlands, or just kind of how the city has changed over the last 10, 15, 20 years, where if you're not fair warned about these places, it might come as a bit of a rude awakening when you actually find out about these different places, right? So I'm hoping to give you just a taste of some specific ins and outs of these places here in Redlands, California. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this very first neighborhood, you're seeing some beautiful homes in the hills of South Redlands. So what gives, right? Some of these homes worth well over $1 million. Some of them probably multi-million-dollar homes. So what is the issue, right, with living in these neighborhoods? Well, the issue is, unfortunately, wildfires, right? Unfortunately, here in California, and particularly in Southern California, we pretty much have a wildfire season. And these particular neighborhoods where you just saw some of these homes are right up against what's called San Mateo Canyon. And just not too long ago, only about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year ago, we had some wildfires in San Mateo Canyon that were threatening some, if not most of these homes, right? So if you're buying a home in this part of Redlands, most likely you're gonna be one of the first geographic areas in Redlands that's pretty much gonna be forced to evacuate. Right? And we don't get a fire every single year specifically in San Mateo Canyon, but just the repetitive nature of these events has actually caused some homeowners, insurance companies, to either hike up the premiums quite a bit or just pull out of the state of California altogether and not offer to cover any of these homes, right? The cost associated with rebuilding and getting reinsured is just not worth it to these companies. So you definitely want to ask your real estate agent, right? What kind of coverage are you going to be getting and what areas of Redlands you should be looking at. There are other areas of Redlands where it's not, so close to the canyon, where if something bad were happening, right, you would still be insulated just a little bit further away, right? Those views that some of those homes get of the beautiful canyon are absolutely breathtaking, but the view probably looking down at your insurance premiums, probably not so good. So definitely something to keep in mind. And if you don't want to buy a home with a crazy homeowner's insurance policy, then don't buy near San Mateo Canyon. Before we go on to our second neighborhood, let me just ask you to please go ahead and hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video so far. Comment whenever you feel a need to do so. And of course, please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I put one out every single week, hoping to give you a good idea of what it's like to be living in the community before you make a big decision like buying real estate. All right, let's get back to it. Now, up next is actually way on the other side of town. If we look at Pioneer Avenue, way over on the north side of Redlands, this is where Citrus Valley High School was built and put in just about 2009, I think was the first year that Citrus Valley opened, right? So if you go just a little bit east from Citrus Valley on Pioneer, You'll find a lovely little community of homes. I think most of those homes were probably built in the 70s. I would be my best guess. I didn't do all the fact checking there, but those homes have been there quite a while. But when Citrus Valley was put in, whole bunch of traffic, and it's just a single lane road, right? Or one way in each direction. It's a residential street, right? With cars parked on either side. And when it's time for school to start in the morning or when things wrap up in the afternoon, it can get super congested right there on Pioneer. So I'm not so sure, how happy all those residents were when Citrus Valley High School got put in just down the road, but it's definitely an area to avoid if you're just traveling around Redlands early in the morning or in the afternoon, because the traffic around there is just really, really bad. Not only that, there's all kinds of people doing some dangerous U-turns right there in front of the school, so definitely be careful. I used to work there and it would just be chaotic, right? So definitely an area to probably avoid unless you don't mind living in an area that has a bunch of school traffic. And actually, this reminds me, there was actually a home this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, but there was a lady who owned a home who refused to sell her property. And so they actually ended up building Citrus Valley High School in its parking lot around this fairly large property, and she had all kinds of animals and stuff on her property. But since she has actually passed away, and finally the school district was able to get that land, and it's basically more parking lot. But you can just kind of tell how the city has evolved over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And even now, there's a brand new construction community right across the street from Citrus Valley. So unless you're really, really into buying a brand new home, I wouldn't buy right across the street from Citrus Valley. The traffic around there is just way too crazy for my liking. All right, now the next neighborhood I would point you away from actually is called University Grove. It is a little bit further east, right off Ligonia. Now, as you can see here, beautiful entrance to this community. These homes look quite nice. The HOA is actually fairly reasonable. I think it's just about 80 to 100 bucks a month. That'll get you your curb and pretty much mailboxes and whatnot. So it's not crazy, but the thing that's happened with this community is the amounts of noise that they have to deal with. Just in the last 5 or 6 years, San Bernardino Airport has actually become more and more busy. And there's this company, right, that starts with the A and goes all the way to Z, right, and ends with the N, that you probably order from quite a bit, or at least see every day. And they use San Bernardino Airport for their cargo planes, right? So I actually have a buddy who lives in this community, and when he bought, close to 25 years ago, things were a lot quieter than they are now. And I don't think the times are too crazy, but it's definitely every single day that these residents are hearing these huge jets overhead, right, of these big old airplanes coming in or taking off every single day with their deliveries. So unless you're okay with all that noise, don't go buy in University Grove. I would point you in a different direction first and then consider University Grove. Now, the other airport, the smaller one, Redlands, is right behind Hangar 24. That was much smaller, right? It's a municipal airport, tiny propeller planes, some Cessnas and whatnot. So those aren't too loud, and they have all kinds of time restrictions. So the noise there, I don't think would be too much of a worry. It's just those big, big jets flying overhead that you probably want to think twice about before buying a home over there at University Grove. Okay, now another neighborhood where I would point you to towards the end of our search would be looking around the University of Redlands. Now, unless you're into that kind of scene, right, where it's very active and probably pretty noisy, these little streets that you see here right now are rather close to the university, and I'm pretty sure that there are quite a number of students, you know, probably juniors and seniors at the university who are now living off campus, are probably walking to and from their home to school a lot and doing all kinds of partying, whatever. So although some of these homes look great, and I guess it really just depends on your personality, if you don't like all that noise, don't buy a home near the University of Redlands. You also have Sylvan Park, that's just right across the street from the University of Redlands. And then Franklin Elementary School is also just down the street. So it's just a very, very busy area. Colton Avenue is, when the freeway is filled up with cars and the traffic is pretty bad, a lot of folks just hop on Colton to get through town. So definitely something to consider if you're thinking about buying a home around the U of R campus. Okay, and another area of town that you probably should steer clear of in terms of buying a home is anywhere too close to Redlands High School. Right? Redlands High School is right downtown, and although there's plenty to offer downtown, it would probably be cool to be able to go walk to restaurants and all kinds of entertainments. Again, just like Citrus Valley, this one isn't as bad in my opinion because RHS, Redlands High School's campus is so spread out that really, you know, the traffic is just spread out compared to Citrus Valley High School. But if you're owning a home like right across the street, you might get sick of all the kind of, you know, just the everyday, you know, teachers sometimes will actually park their cars right in front of homes, school buses around all the time, all kinds of just congestion and whatnot, and just hustle bustle, right? All around Cypress Avenue, although you're not quite on campus, you got all kinds of kids getting into school, and then after school you have kids with their after school activities and sports practices and whatnot. So if you don't like all that activities surrounding schools, don't buy a home too close to Redlands High School.